Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, May 9th here at Edwin Binney's Community Farm and Education Center, and we finally have things in the ground and growing. So let's go on a little bit of an update tour. Here at the north end of our farm, right behind me, we have corn. We've planted two ways. We've done seed with a seeder, and we have transplanted corn that were started inside of a greenhouse and transplanted out just yesterday. If done correctly, you can actually transplant corn if you're starting it indoors and moving it outside later on. This allows you to get a little bit of a head start on your corn season. Now, some people will claim that you cannot transplant corn or that you shouldn't transplant corn because you risk damaging the taproot of the plant and then killing off your crop. But if you do it correctly, you can safely transplant your corn, as we have done here. So these were started about 2 weeks ago indoors and just transplanted out yesterday, May 8th. We are still a ways away from our last frost, but we have been looking at the weather and it doesn't look like we are in for any frost or inclement weather, knock on wood, that will harm these plants. Now, the process for transplanting the corn is fairly simple. We've rototilled the ground to prepare the soil. Then we soaked the corn plants in their trays just because they were a little bit dry, so that'll help to give them some water right at their roots before being dropped into the holes. And we have done 3 rows of corn per bed. So in this section of the north field, we have asparagus growing, which we are now harvesting from. Other than crops that we have grown in our greenhouses in early spring, these are the earliest crops that we get to harvest. And they are by far a favorite of many of our recipients. We now have our pathway set up in our raspberries. This is going to be incredibly helpful to harvest raspberries, as it is very difficult to get in between the plants when they are grown so densely. So this way we'll be able to harvest on this side and on this side, and then on the outsides of the whole raspberry bed. As you can see here, we also have green onions growing in with the raspberries. These are an Egyptian walking onion, same onions that we've been harvesting from way down over here. These are just leftover plants. So here's our row of walking onions, green spring onions, some will call them, or Egyptian walking onions. We've been harvesting from this for a few weeks now and have almost harvested 100 pounds of onions already. Beside the onions, we have these little lettuces, and on either side of the onions, we have potatoes. So all kinds of different potatoes are planted all throughout this area here. Down this row behind our greenhouse, we have a bunch of rhubarb. Now, with the rhubarb, you don't eat the leaves. They are slightly toxic, so we just harvest for the stalk. Beside the rhubarb here, we have haskcaps, or if you're purchasing them from a store or a garden center, they may call them Mr. and Mrs. Honeyberries. Kind of similar to a blueberry. We haven't had a harvest from these ones just yet, so I will give you an update on what they taste like once we do. Here we have our allium field. So this is our south field. We have garlic, some onion sets, and then some more garlic. So this bed of onions and this one right here on the other side of the garlic were all planted with onion sets, and we have a little bit of an unintended experiment happening here. We have the onion sets, and then this bed has been planted with onions that were started from seed. So we're going to try to compare the production of starting your onions from onion sets that you could purchase from a store, or if it's better to plant onions from seed. These last two rows here are planted with leeks. Here in our first greenhouse, we have cucumbers all planted, and we're going to grow them up strings. We'll have string also attached kind of close to the ceiling here. We have these wires hanging down, so they'll be strung up and growing vertically. So these bumblebees have been loving these currant bushes. Currently, they are some of the earliest flowers, providing some food for our little pollinators. We wouldn't be able to produce all the food that we do if we didn't have these little helpers. So we are incredibly grateful for them. So I can't actually take the camera into our second greenhouse because it is too steamy. The sun is warming it up in here, and it's just creating too much moisture and fogging up the camera. But right behind me here, we still have some lettuces growing, and on the other side we have tomatoes similar to the cucumbers. We're going to string them up to the roof of the greenhouse here. In some of these raised beds here, we have more green onions, not quite ready to harvest. We'll work through the ones that are in the field first, and then we'll start harvesting from here. A little bit of lettuce, but we've had issues with a groundhog that's been climbing up and munching on them. Here I believe we have some spinach, and then we have our radishes that we've planted, and we have a couple of videos up on the channel now about these radishes. The far side raised beds, we have lettuce, and our compost bins slowly decomposing and will provide us with some good compost. Thank you for coming along on this tour with me of Edwin Binney's Community Farm and Education Center. This is early May in the farm, and we actually have quite a bit going on now. We have tomatoes, cucumbers, lots of green onions, of course, corn, potatoes, and many other things growing in the farm. All of the produce that we grow here is donated to local community support agencies all throughout the City of Kawartha Lakes and Halliburton County. If you would like to get involved on the farm, you can volunteer through the United Way for the City of Kawartha Lakes website. We also have many ways for you to be able to support the farm that is not volunteering here to do the manual labor. You can donate directly to support the United Way for the City of Kawartha Lakes and our poverty reduction programs and our food security programs, such as our farm. We also have an Adopt a Crop program where you can directly sponsor a single crop and have your name attached to the field that is growing that. There's various different levels for the Adopt a Crop program, ranging from $250 all the way up to $5,000. So depending on your budget, you can support the farm and grow food for people in need. Stay tuned this season as we document everything that we do on the farm and show you how you can grow food at home. Thank you for coming along on this tour of Edwin Binney's Community Farm and Education Center. It is a collaborative project for food security in the City of Kawartha Lakes in Haliburton County. Partners are United Way for the City of Kawartha Lakes, Crayola Canada, and Fleming College. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and follow along as we show you how we grow food, and we will share some tips on how you can grow food at home as well. Until the next video, have a great day, enjoy the sunshine, and we'll see you later.